Here we are again. This is substance abuse. My name is Pat Ray. I'm with Pat's Prevention and Treatment Services. This is a substance abuse class, and today we are talking about coping skills. So I need you to get your paper, print your first and last name, today's date. The type of group is substance abuse. And then, as far as the topic, it is healthy and unhealthy coping skills. We want to learn what they are. So, to get full credit, you will have to provide me with the progress note. And in that note, you're going to write down 3 full bodied statements about what you thought about, learned about, wanted to talk about, any questions, anything like that. And because this is a video, I need to have a detailed response from you in order to give you credit. In the group setting, I'm able to talk to you and discuss back and forth with you. I can't do that this way, so I'm depending on you to do your part. In order to get full credit, this class will need to be paid for. So if you are paying over with check or, with credit or debit, you may pay over the phone, 217-954-1128 or 217-766-9132. Or you can send a check or money order to Pat's, P-A-T-S, 300 South Broadway, Urbana, Suite 110A as in Apple, and that's Urbana 61801. You may come to the office with the exact change between the hours of 9 a.m. and 1 p.m., Monday through Friday, or in the evening, Monday through Thursday, 5 p.m. to 6. You may drop off the payment. You will get a receipt. You may bring your progress notes or homework, and we will give you credit for both of those. If you need to send them to me, email pat@changeisachoice.org. Simply take a picture with your phone and forward that to me. You can text it to me at 217-766-9132. So in order to get full credit, I need, and if it's insurance, please write that on your paper. Or if it is another agency paying for your services, write that agency name. Okay, so in order to get credit, we need the assignment, the progress note, and payment. All right. So today, let's talk about coping skills. We know that life has a whole bunch of stuff going on from the time we're born and every single day. Some days are more challenging than others. Some life events more traumatic than others. Sometimes in the daily life, we may have some interpersonal conflict. We may have some emotional or physical losses or stress. Doesn't matter who we are, we all go through it. Life is not a bowl of cherries. You got to look out for the pits, huh? Okay, old song, sorry. Some people experience significant trauma. It might be that they were permanently or terribly scarred by abuse, neglect, or tragic loss of parents or loved ones, or may have had a near-death experience themselves as either a child or as an adult. They may have, be victims of some sort of violence or have witnessed something horrible to others, to loved ones, whatever it might be. So, regardless of what our story is, what our past has been up until now, what matters most is how we cope, how we cope. We learn various coping mechanisms as children. Um, so you see little kids who have their binky or their blanket or their teddy bear, and they grab those when they're scared. Or they suck their thumb. Um, as people get older, they may use humor to kind of deflect and hide their emotional pain, or they may have acted out in some kind of way. So perhaps we use things like anger or painful feelings. We may have had those and use things like physical activity, doing something outside to feel better. Okay, some of us learned that alcohol and drugs killed the pain for a minute, and in the beginning it worked. Some of us learned that it stopped working at some point and became its own problem for us, uh, heaping up stress, anxiety, personal conflicts, financial issues, all of those things. So, in the beginning, we used something, whether it would be alcohol, drugs, sex, relationships, shopping, gambling, pornography, whatever. We used something to cope. It worked the first time, so we did it again and again. And before we knew it, we were doing it every single time we were stressed or experienced some kind of unwanted emotion. And we developed then a problem with that. Okay, so let's talk about how we can. Whoops, I forgot one piece. It says, I have my notes here, and it says you'll find that one of the keys to recovery or getting better or getting my life back on track, or maybe getting it on track to begin with, is identifying maladaptive coping strategies. Adaptive means I adapt and that's a healthy thing. Maladaptive means I'm using something that to adapt and it's not a good thing for me. Maladaptive coping techniques. And so we want to identify those that we might be using right now and then replace them with some healthy ones. So first of all, let's identify what those maladaptive coping mechanisms might be. Well, there's a great big one that jumps right out, and that's denial. Denial for me is, oh, it's not really that bad. Nah, I don't believe that. Nope, that's not me. So this is a common one. I'm lying to myself and I don't even know it. It's not a conscious lie, but I'm actually lying to myself. Have you ever been in a situation, whether it's a job that you really didn't like, but you stayed there anyway for a long period of time and it just got worse and worse and worse? And you kept telling yourself, oh, it's not that bad. I can deal with it right now, this kind of thing. Even though once you got away from there, you look back and you say, oh my goodness, why didn't I get out of there sooner? Or it might be a relationship. You stayed and stayed, believing in your heart that you would work it out, things would get better, but they never did. Looking back, you said, I should have gone a long time ago. Denial. It's the same way with alcohol, other drugs, or any activities that we're using. They worked. Our mind, our memory, our brain remembers that they worked for us at one time. So we tell ourselves, no, that can't be the problem. It's got to be the cops. They're always following me around. It's got to be my partner. They're always nagging me. It's got to be my boss. He or she is not a nice person. It is not my use or my behavior. That is the problem. I'm sorry, something fell over in here. Okay. All right. So Denial. We just don't believe it. We're lying to ourselves and we don't know it. The next maladaptive coping mechanism is called avoidance. Avoidance is a common coping mechanism, especially if anybody is prone to having anxiety or any kind of low self-esteem issues. And it is a particularly difficult habit to break because each time you avoid something, you reinforce that behavior. You don't take the call. You don't open the mail. You don't go to the appointment. You don't do whatever it is that you're supposed to be doing. And when you avoid it, well, it increases the stress and the anxiety and the obsessive thinking. So what do? We use whatever substance, relationship, whatever to deal with it. Avoiding. Displacement is another maladaptive coping mechanism. This occurs when you redirect negative feelings about someone or something towards someone or something else. Typically, someone safer or someone who just happens to cross your path in that moment. Unfortunately, this unhealthy coping technique can create serious problems in your relationships. That's like when the guy gets mad, goes out and kicks a big dent in his car. What's he doing? He's displacing it. Procrastination, this is mine right here, put it off. It's a rare thing. Excuse me, it's a rare person who doesn't procrastinate at least once in a while. But if you do it all the time, then it becomes a problem. And it leads to more stress because you put things off. When you put things off, there's consequences. Don't pay the bill, then you got late fees, and on and on. You don't do the work, it piles up. You don't sort it out, then you got a big mess. Okay. If you are a procrastinator, you're most likely trying to avoid doing something undesirable, uncomfortable, or difficult. Lord, I am the queen of that. Here's another maladaptive coping mechanism. It's called passive aggressiveness. A lot of folks who use substances or abuse substances or addicted to substances will use this. Hostility, anger, or hurt are usually the driving emotions behind or underlying passive aggressive behavior. So, for example, you're angry that you had to cancel a weekend getaway because your mother-in-law came to visit unannounced. So you accidentally spill a glass of red wine all over her new silk blouse. Passive aggressive behavior may make you feel good in the moment, but it's going to make damage in the long run. So passive. I cannot face to face be assertive and tell the person what my feelings, needs, and wants are. So I'm frustrated, I'm resentful, and so I do something negative behind their back or in case of, oops, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. That's the aggressive part. Okay. Rationalization is also one that is a maladaptive coping mechanism. It involves using logic or excuses to avoid facing the truth. For example, you may rationalize that you were passed over for a promotion at work because of your age, when in reality, you were late to important meetings and had bungled a recent project. Okay. Rationalization. Staying ridiculously busy, just too doggone busy, workaholic. This is actually something that I need to address sometimes. So, this is yet another way to avoid dealing with people, situations, or emotions that we don't want to face for one reason or another. So we'll either get burned out or be forced to face the music at some point, both of which are powerful triggers to use substances. Okay, got about 3 more. Compartmentalization, the coping mechanism occurs when you mentally put conflicting emotions or thoughts into different compartments. For example, a woman who's secretly involved with 2 men compartmentalizes her feelings for one whenever she's with the other. Sometimes compartmentalization serves as a purpose, but those compartments inevitably start to leak. Okay. Intellectualization. This is another one. So, this is another way to avoid or shut out negative or uncomfortable emotions. People who intellectualize often focus on things like the facts, the statistics, and logic, not only in their conversation with others, but in their own internal dialogue. So they don't want to deal with emotions, so just facts. Here's one, trivialization. This involves minimizing or downplaying things that are important or significant, usually to your detriment. We downplay it and then it comes back to bite us. For example, you tell yourself, it isn't a big deal when your spouse is verbally abusive to you or your children. That never gets better, by the way, if it's not addressed. Okay. So those are some of the things that we may use. What your job is for this class is to review those, look them up if you don't understand them, and give me some examples that you may be using yourself. All of us use maladaptive coping strategies at one point or another. It's a human thing. Okay? All right, so what are you going to do? Instead of doing those things, when you catch yourself, when you catch yourself doing any one of those things, do something different. Some people will say, well, you know what? When I'm stressed out, I have an emotion I don't want to deal with, I exercise. I get up, I take a walk. Right now we can't really go to the gym. Some people like to go to the gym, so you may need to, figure out a way to rig up some gym at your home, your basement, or your garage. I also have a son-in-law who has one in his garage. You might call him and ask him if he can use it. Okay, focusing on the positive is another way. Looking for the silver lining, guys. Now you say, oh, that's poo-poo stuff. No, it really isn't. Focusing on the positive. What is the good thing that's going along? What triggered that negative thinking, and knocking that out of there by totally looking at the positive things that you do have going in your life. So what is positive? Where is the silver lining? The next thing goes along with that. It's called practicing gratitude. We may be struggling right now with where the world is, and we may have frustrations. We may be on each other's nerves, whatever it might be. But practice gratitude. If you got your health, be grateful. If you have a place to sleep, be grateful. If you have some food to eat today, be grateful. If you have somebody in your life who you care about, be grateful. If you have clothes on your back, be grateful. If you have a dream, be grateful. Find gratitude. You may not have all of those things, but you may have other things. Be grateful. Now, you may say, yeah, it's easy for you to say that. Yes, it is. But in dire times of distress, dire, distressful times in my life, I have forced myself to make that gratitude list. And it really does balance my mind out. Give it a shot. Some people like to write things down, journal. Some people don't. Some people might like to do a talk journal where you talk into the computer and you save it, you play it back, whatever. Some people use meditation, some quiet time. They may have something that they like to read that puts their mind in a positive space and then reflecting on that, whatever it might be. Relaxing your breath, dropping your shoulders, taking some deep breaths, talking it out. You can talk it out with someone you trust. You can talk it out with someone you don't know. Turn your anger or pain into something useful. I'm sure you've had some painful events in your life, and it has made you stronger in some ways. Use that. Turn it into something useful. I had some things in my life, and it changed my career, and that's why I'm here. So, okay, so not all of those things are going to work for you. Some of them might. You may have some that you need to add to the list. So the goal is to identify those negative coping strategies that you're using, coping skills, and replace them. So making a commitment to replacing them. So today, in your progress note, your assignment is also to list anything or things that you would be willing to do differently rather than using substances, gambling, sex, shopping, whatever it might be, video gaming, obsessive video gaming. Use what would you be willing to do instead of? And that is what we say, what we call coping skills. When you finish this treatment, those of you who have to provide proof that you have learned something from your treatment, coping skills should be at the top of your list. So give it some thought. Okay, that's it for today. I hope that you are well, and I will hopefully get to see you again face to face. I don't know when. Thanks.